We are coming to you live via Facebook streaming, via YouTube streaming, and also via Skype. Each one of you is welcome to this live streaming. Sutras of Vigyan Bhairav Tantra. Soundlessness breaks your sleep. This is the next sutra or technique on sound. Next sutra on sound. The sutra says, in the beginning and gradual refinement of sound of any letter, awake. Shiva spoke in parables, just as all the masters spoke in parables, whether you call it koan or as it is called in Zen or Sufi terminology or Jesus. Everywhere is a very precise way of saying something. Then those who are intelligent enough, they just follow the hints. I recall, and then when the master says something like this, you feel deep within that he is talking to you and you alone amidst the crowd. I recall one day it was many years ago, when my uncle Sufi master, he was talking, and while he was talking, the master, when he is talking, he looks at someone, whether it is Buddha. When Buddha came to Avantapindika for this sermon, there were many monks, 1200 in number were there. Buddha came with a flower in his hand and he looked at everyone, and Buddha never did something like this, that he stood up quietly with the flower in his hand and a gentle tacit smile on his face. Everyone now, he did it. Looking at this, many thoughts will arise in the minds of the monks. Each monk will interpret it in his own way. Interpret in his own way. One of them was, of the monks, was Mahakashyap. Buddha looked at him, he gave a smile. There was no thought flowing in the mind of Mahakashyap. Buddha, he smiled. The only thing is this: the being is a flower. Being is a flower that blossoms. When that has blossomed, it is, according to Hindu system known as 1000-petal center, you have attained. You have attained to awakening. Buddha looked towards Mahakashyap and he responded with a tacit smile. Buddha handed over the flower to Mahakashyap and said, the truth cannot be narrated, it cannot be put into the words, it cannot be argued, and 40 years I have spoken all that could be spoken, yet still truth cannot be spoken. It has to be narrated in parables, in koans, like a mathematical formula. I have all that could not be said, I passed on to Mahakashyap in handing over the flower to him. So things like these happen. So the Sufi master looked at me and he said to the address to the general congregation, whenever God gives you an opportunity, whenever God gives you an opportunity to do His work, not your work, His work is the divine work. What is His work? In the beginning there was God. He hid Himself and manifested you. Now you have to hide yourself and manifest godliness, manifest Him, His quality. You cannot manifest Him, but you can manifest His qualities. So he said, whenever God gives you an opportunity, open a department store. So it cannot be understood that how can you do the God's work by opening a department store? Department store's quality is, when you go there, it is not a specialized store alone. You can get anything that you want. You want something for your everyday household, kitchen, gifts, anything that you want, you will get it. Everything basics are given there. That is the general. When there people of all needs, cultures come and visit. In Trinidad there is a cosmetic store. Normally they are followers of Sai Baba. So in the morning, and they are of Hindu origin. So in the morning, before they first thing they play Hindu religious songs loud. They have workers, Indian origin, African origin. Normally African origin people object to these things. If you come to somebody's house and they are playing, you are of a Christian background or a Muslim background, and they are playing a bhajan, you may not like it in general. Nobody objects coming into that place, because number one, that is the cheapest store where you can get all the cosmetics, pharmacies there, and everything cheaper than anywhere else. The variety is the widest, and they have the workers of different origin, Indian origin, African origin, Chinese origin working there, and nobody objects. So department store is a place where it is a common man's store. You can go on Amazon and you can get anything that you want. from a basic Q-tip to the most sophisticated electronic appliances. So his point was to open a department store, but people will not understand it, and none could understand this. He meant people may come to you from different cultural backgrounds, religious backgrounds, social backgrounds. You must have something to offer to them. Someone comes from Islamic tradition and you tell him to sing Hanuman Chalisa, he may not like that. You should be able to give the person in the beginning what he has come for. And if you continue to do that, then one day you can offer him what you would like to do, what you would like to give it to him. This is a great art of deception, but it requires innovation, a deep understanding. This is what we do in cooking. We create dishes that are very deceptive, but you must understand it. This used to happen during the time when the Muslim were ruling the country. The chefs will create a dish, maybe a sweet dish out of garlic. It is made. Then the king will get very much pleased and he rewards the people. So in Hindu homes on certain days they do not eat meat and all these things. And children will become very particular. Like for instance, in certain homes they do not eat meat products, eggs on Tuesday and Thursday. So that day the children will ask for egg, omelette. How can you make the omelette without egg? You must know the art. You must know the texture of. I am taking the food example for you to understand. I must know the texture of the person, texture of the teaching that I am going to give. So the egg has two things. Number one, it has albumin, which is a rich source of protein, and the yolk that gives the richness. So when omelette made with egg, it gives both richness and protein. How can you give richness and protein and it is not dry? It is not liquid, but it is kind of a different kind of a texture. How can you create that? So you can use the chickpeas flour, the besan, that is an important part, major part of that. To that you add a little bit of white flour. White flour has gluten and it has a stretchiness. That is what happens in egg. And if you infuse into it a piece of bread, the white only, then you add the milk. And after adding the milk, you still need the besan, the chickpeas flour is dry. When you are making anything out of that, you must add a fat to it. So you melt the butter and infuse into it. and you whisk it, and your batter is coating batter. It's coating and running. When you turn over your spoon spatula, it will stick over it. And when you make omelette, it is purely vegetarian, but its texture is exactly like omelette, egg omelette. And then another secret is, normally when people are making omelette, they just cut the vegetables, whatever they use, and add directly to the batter. This is not the correct way. The correct way is saute the vegetables in butter. You are not cooking, you are not burning, you are just tossing it. So the flavor of the butter will infuse into the vegetables, onion, chilies, tomato, carrot, and whatever, cilantro, whatever vegetables you are using it to it. And the texture of the flavor of the vegetables will blend all together. The cilantro will infuse into tomato, tomato will infuse into carrot, carrot will infuse into onion, and they will create a very unique flavor. Then you add the batter. You can grate some cheese over it, and you remember, egg cooks in its own heat, on a very low heat, but this you have to cook it properly on the both sides, and your vegetarian omelette is ready. Texture is exactly like this. So when it comes to teaching or guiding an individual, we have to work in the same way, innovatory. How to innovate the techniques to make the things understandable and to reach to the very core of that seeker. So when he said, whenever God gives you an opportunity to do his work, open a department store. First, you understand what is God's work. In the beginning, there was Word, and Word was with God, and the Word was God. So God was there. He hid himself and manifested you. Now you have to hide your identity and manifest the quality of God. You cannot manifest that is unknown and unknowable, and that is cannot be manifested in any form. So you manifest the qualities. And secondly, you must have the technique to give the people in the beginning what they come for. As person of Islamic tradition, of a Hindu tradition, of a Christian tradition, of a Zen tradition, or anyone comes in, it is like a chef. So master is a master chef. When a restaurant, somebody comes in a restaurant, they have their own dishes in mind. They look at it, at the menu card, and they ask, I want this. The quality of the chef is he must create that. I recall one day, my daughter, she was doing, when she was growing, she had liked a vegetable Indian gravy made with peas and mushroom. Peas and mushroom. So she went to the restaurant in South Carolina somewhere, or Virginia. This peas and mushroom was not on the menu card. There was matar paneer, the peas and paneer vegetable. So she called the waiter that I want the peas and mushroom. He said that is not on the menu. He said call the chef and the chef can make it. He said how to do that? So she told him you have the peas and paneer vegetable. Remove the paneer and add the mushroom to it. And you can create this dish, and chef must know that culinary art. How to replace paneer with mushroom. So the chef asked, how do you know it? Then she mentioned that my father, that's a different story. So in the same way, you make adjustments in a particular technique according to the needs of a seeker and his psychology and everything. Then you will be able to make a difference in that person. You can bring about a transformation in that person. So in the same way, give you a few examples of it. Because of that, so many dishes as a part of my culinary interest was created. Dishes was created with different ingredients. And they become very successful. So chefs create the dishes. Master creates the techniques to the need of a particular individual. A person of the Christian origin comes in, or Islamic origin comes in, and you are talking about Vigyan Bhairav Tantra, where Shiva spoke and gave 112 techniques of meditation. So for the Christian background, Jesus is the only begotten Son of God. And the person of Islamic tradition is of that. First, you create a situation that the person is ready to listen to you. This is a great way of dealing with a particular person. That is how I developed many dishes, many techniques in cooking many dishes. Another example, I'll take it back again. In Trinidad, there is a particular kind of leafy vegetable which is very popular. So combination is a dal, rice, and that leafy vegetable cooked in a particular way. And people do not want the things to be repeated. And my daughter told me that I don't want to take to the school for lunch the same dish for 7 days a week. So every day you have to create a new dish. So this is a combination of dal, rice, and that leafy vegetable. Next day, what do I do? So I pondered over it. I said I can mix this vegetable, that leafy vegetable, with rice and create a pie. So how to make the pie? The basics of it. To make whether it is macaroni pie or anything, you need the base, which is rice or macaroni. To that you add egg, or vegetarian, you remove the egg and replace it with something else. Milk is added, certain seasonings are added to it, and then you add the cheese to it. So I use the same formula. Take the rice, mix it with that leafy vegetable which was already cooked. To that I added the milk, When you add the milk, it will become flowing. It will take a longer time. So egg is used to bind. But you are not using Tuesday, you cannot use the egg. So you use the cornstarch. And in the mixture, you add some grated cheese. Cheese is normally used for topping. When you infuse the cheese into the dish, it not only thickens when it mixes with the milk, it thickens the milk, and then cornstarch binds all the different ingredients, the rice and the leafy vegetable and other vegetables that you have added, mushrooms, carrot, and things like these. And then you set it in a pan and top up with the cheese and bake it. It became a pie made with rice and the mixed vegetable. This dish, somewhere somebody would have tried it. So that innovatory technique, in the same way, the master has to create the techniques to suit a particular person, how to bring about the transformation in him. So this particular sutra says, in the beginning and gradual refinement of the sound of any letter, sound is always of a letter. Whether it is couple syllables, like Om is a 3 syllable, but Om is a sound and awake. So sometimes the teacher used this technique with slight variations and very much. And each one of them has his own ingenious way. For example, if you enter a Zen master's hut, like I gave you the prelude that I gave, the chef, how he creates the dishes. And this was a test that I give you the ingredients. What I tried to do at times, I will write the different ingredients on a piece of paper, put it in the bottle, and decide that I am going to make something with only 5 ingredients. I will pull out the chits of the paper, and whatever ingredient comes out of that. So the basic ingredients, excluding the spices, salt and pepper and all these things. So you take out, and when you pull out the 5, so 5 comes in. It comes in cheese, some other things there. So sometimes it used to be very weird combination will come out. Now you have to think over it, and you have given a certain period of time that within that the dish has to be completed. Not that you have 2 days, no. Within half an hour you choose and the dish has to be completed half an hour to 45 minutes. So you use the technique, modify it, and present it for the transformation of the person. So when you enter a Zen master, he will suddenly give you a scream, and this you will get startled. I did not do anything. I just came and bowed down to him and paid respect, and he screamed. But if you know that he is doing this, you know he is doing this just to make you awake. You are continuous chain of thoughts going on in your mind, and suddenly the master gives you a scream. It comes like a shock to you. In that shock you will forget about the continuous flow of thoughts in your mind. The noise, the disturbance will suddenly cease for a moment, And when that ceases, that is the precise moment when Master gets an opportunity to infuse into you something. Any sudden thing makes you awake, and any sudden sound will make you awake. This sound creates soundlessness. This was the last sutra. From first enter into the soundfulness. This is the way of Buddha. This is the way of Tantra, the positive way, and Buddha's way is soundlessness. The negative way, the absence of it, and both are the two sides of the same coin. You enter from the sound and reach to the state of soundlessness. When you start chanting a mantra or zikr, it must lead you to the silence. And it's not that you half an hour you did a rosary of certain numbers of the zikr and you finish. After that you have to wait to attain to the state of soundlessness. Only then something can happen to you. So soundlessness is the necessity, this is the outcome, this is the final dish that you are kneading with the different ingredient. Whether it is a zikr, with just as having the ingredients does not create the dish, and the dish looks totally different from the ingredients. So the dish, the ingredients is the zikr, the words, the particular sutra, the particular mantra, the particular composition of the scripture, and out of that, when you use that, you are reaching to a state of soundlessness, which is the final product, the dish. And unless you move from there to there, there will be no transformation. So suddenly, that's why soundlessness breaks your sleep. Ordinarily, we are asleep. Unless something goes wrong, we are not out of sleep. We go on doing these things, everything sleepily. So we are sleepwalkers. That's why we never feel the sleep. We go to the office, you drive the car, you come back home, you love the children, you talk to your wife, to the children. So you think you are not sleepy at all. How can you do all these things in sleep? You think that is not possible. But do you know anything about sleepwalkers? About those who walk in their sleep? Their eyes are open. They are asleep with open eyes. So they can do many things. But they will not remember in the morning that they have done such things. I recall an incident. A mother and the daughter, they did not like one another. And they sleepwalking. So it was a cold winter night. The mother was walking, but she did not have the warm clothes. The daughter comes and says, "Mom, you will get sick. You are walking without the warm clothes in the cold winter night. There is a cold breeze blowing. You will get your asthma surface arise." So she takes the sheet, the blanket or a warm something, and wraps it around the mother and puts her arms around her neck and brings her back inside. In the morning she does not remember any of these things. So these are the sleepwalkers. They may go to a police station and reports that something is wrong, that someone came to their house at night and was creating mischief, and they themselves have not been found to be responsible. But in the night, in their sleep, they walk and do certain things that then they come back into their bed and continue to sleep. In the morning, they cannot remember what had happened. They can open doors, they can use the keys, they can do many things. Their eyes are open, but they are asleep. I recall an incident about Madame Curie. She was working on a certain problem. Until late in the night, she continued to work, but she was not getting the solution. She goes back to sleep. But she dreamt that she went to the desk, write something on the paper where she was working on that problem. And in the morning when she get up, she did not remember this. But she went to the desk and she saw the solution was there. So she could not believe how this solution came in. Who did this solution? Maybe God did, or maybe invisible hands did it. When she recognized it was her own handwriting. Sometimes in the sleep we reach to the state that you can do certain miraculous things. Anything can be used. So this was, and he solved that problem, and she found that the answer was there. In a deeper sense, we are all sleepwalkers. You can go to the office, you can come to your home, you can do certain things, you will repeat the same thing you have always repeated. You will tell your wife that I love you, but you do not mean anything by it. The words will be just mechanical, and we are only interested in mechanical words. You are not even aware that you are telling your wife that I love you. You are simply doing things as if you are fast asleep. This whole world is a world of sleepwalkers. For a person who has become awakened, a Buddha feels that way. A Gurdjieff feels that way. That everyone is fast asleep and is still doing things in that state. Gurdjieff used to say that whatever is happening in this world is absolutely what can be expected. Wars, fights, riots, murders, suicides, etc. Someone asked Gurdjieff, can something be done to stop wars? He said nothing can be done because those who are fighting, they are fast asleep. We will continue this talk in tomorrow's session, because this will become too long. So until then, take care and do have a pleasant day.